Hello, and welcome to episode 2 of Father and Son at the Movies, the show where two generations of moviegoers review the movies currently out in theaters or in DVD. I'm Rich the Father,
I'm Ben the Son.
and what movie are we doing this week, Ben?
Today we are reviewing Seeking a Friend for the End of the World, and I would agree with you that is a very, very long title. But basically, it is a movie about the end of the world, but it's not an action thriller like most of them are. It is actually a romantic comedy, and it stars Steve Carell from many movies you might know of, because you might know Steve Carell. It also stars Keira Knightley from the Pirates of the Caribbean series. But it is about a guy who teams up with his next door neighbor to find his old high school sweetheart so he can spend time with her as the world is about to be destroyed by an oncoming meteor.
Exactly. And it's actually it's a lovely film. I did not expect. I know this movie came out last summer and did not do very well. It got released on DVD right before Christmas,
Yeah.
and it is a surprisingly lovely film. I had heard decidedly mixed things before we all went out and saw it.
Both of us liked it more than we thought we would.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's lovely. It's funny. You wouldn't think a movie about the last, the world threatening to come to an end would be a fun movie, but it's funny, it's touching, it's romantic. For people of my generation, it has an absolutely killer soundtrack. All the great rock and roll hits of the 60s, 70s, and 80s are in this. It's really it's witty. It takes you in surprising directions that you didn't expect to go with. As like Ben said, essentially this is like a road trip movie where Steve Carell and Keira Knightley hit the road, and as they journey to try and find Steve Carell's true love, they encounter all these different people along the way who are doing different things to deal with the upcoming apocalypse. And they run into a lot of people too. There's William Peterson, who used to be on CSI, is in this thing. Connie Britton, who's currently in Nashville, is in this. Peyton Oswald, the Martin Sheen. There's a lot of people in this movie that you wouldn't expect to be in this film, and it was. Like I said, it seems odd to be saying this about a movie that is dealing with the subject of the world slowly coming to an end, but it's really funny. It's really delightful, and for me, it was what are the words I'm looking for? But the ending was it was very. By the time the movie was over, it was very life affirming for me. It made me feel better to be alive. Ben, what did you think?
I thought it was pretty good. I thought it was really funny. I liked the performances of both Steve Carell and Keira Knightley. I thought the characters are good. And I do agree with Father that it does have a very satisfying ending.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's not. I think part of the problem with the movie is why it didn't do very well in theaters. No, don't do that yet.
All right.
Unless we just wanted. I think one of the reasons it didn't do well in theaters is because I personally think that the studio releasing it sort of misidentified it in trailers. I think people were expecting it to be more of a laugh out loud thing, like some of Steve Carell's other stuff, like Date Night or The 40-Year-Old Virgin or things like that. And it's not that. It is more on the. There is comedy, but it's also more on the serious side. As well, and I think that was part of the problems that I think people have, and I think there's some other problems as well. But we're going to discuss this in the spoiler alert section when we get there. But for me, like I said, this was an absolutely lovely film. I'm a huge fan of the director. She wrote Nick and Nora's Infinite Playlist, which some of you adults may not be familiar with, but I know the younger generation is, which was also a very fun romantic comedy out a couple years ago, and I think this is her directing debut. So, and I think she just did a lovely job. Ben, did you have any for this very long titled but lovely film?
I just basically what I said before. I think it is a very good film. Like I said before, both of us agree that it was better than we expected it to be.
Yeah.
And I'm saying mostly of what I remember. I haven't seen this film since we saw it back in July, but yeah, overall it's a very good movie, and it's better than you might think.
Yeah, and I've actually seen it. We saw it back in July in theaters, and I saw it again on DVD like a week ago, and it was just as good on the second time as it was the first time. So
he was very happy to get it for Christmas.
Yes, it was a gift for my son, of course. We're doing fist bumps for the movies. So, Ben, what would you give this?
I give it 3 fist bumps.
3 fist bumps, okay. And I'm actually going to give it 4 fist bumps, which is my highest rating. In fact, I will go out on a limb and tell you that this was, to me, the best film of 2012 that I saw. It's ahead of Lincoln. It's ahead of all those other movies that you've heard are really great. I just thought this was a beautiful, beautiful movie, and I think it's worth checking out. We are going to discuss a little bit in what we're going to call our spoiler alert section. In a second. Put it down. In a second. So if you don't want to, I think I want to talk a little more about the ending and why people are reacting the way they are to it. But we want to give you a chance, if you haven't seen the film, to duck out at this point. So this is our early wrap up of Father and Son. We are going to be putting up shows every Friday, and we will be back next Friday. And Ben, what will we be reviewing next Friday?
Next Friday, we are going to be reviewing the 2009 sci-fi thriller Knowing, starring Nicolas Cage.
We're sort of in an apocalypse stage right now. Yeah. So I hope to see you on Friday, and thank you for the comments. And also, if there's a movie you would like us to discuss, please leave comments on the YouTube, and we will probably do that.
And if you like us very much, please subscribe to our channel, Found Footage 100.
Okay, and now we are going to throw up the spoiler alert sign, Ben.
Spoiler alert.
Okay, we're going to discuss. Yeah, go ahead.
Hopefully next week we can have a better sign.
Yeah, we kind of threw that together. But yes, we are going to discuss the ending. So I'm going to give you a chance to log off if you want to,
or if you want to stay. If you don't want to see the movie, just want to know the ending, stay. Yeah.
But okay, we've given you enough time to leave, and if you are still here and you get mad that you find out what the ending is, then I'm sorry, we gave you enough warning. As I kind of said in the discussion, I'll be honest with you guys right now. The world ends at the end. Okay.
Yeah.
At the end of this movie.
Yeah. There's no debate about that. It ends just as it says in the title.
Yeah, the world actually does end. And I know I said a couple of minutes ago this is a life-affirming movie, and you're like, well, everybody dies. How's it life-affirming? It's life-affirming because everybody goes out. Our main characters go out on a high note. They do discover love. They do discover the meaning of existence. They do discover all these wonderful things in this film, which is, how everybody's going to be. I do think, like I said, I think the studio mismarketed this film. I don't think it should have been in 2,000 theaters when it came out last July.
Because mostly because they marketed it like it's a laugh out loud comedy and it is funny all the way through. You mean
it's not funny all the way through?
No, I'm saying that they marketed it as if it was.
Yeah, I agree.
As if it was funny all the way through.
And the number one complaint I've heard from people that I recommend this film from, and they come back, is that, well, it starts off really funny, but it gets less and less funny as the movie goes along. Well, of course it gets less and less funny because the end of the world's coming.
Yeah, there's nothing funny. There's nothing funny about all of us dying.
Right, and as we get closer to the end there, things are going to get more serious, and there's going to be a more serious tone to the whole thing. I personally, and I'm going to get philosophical here, but I think a lot of times that people have a problem with the ending is that they are, the movie forces us to confront our own mortality at the end, and I think a lot of times people want to go to the movies to be entertained. They don't want to actually confront things like this. I mean, by the end of the movie has you thinking, well, what if this situation came up, and I would be forced to, well, what am I going to do with my, 3 weeks I've got left, in this case of the movie, or my 1 week, or 3 days, or what it ends up being at the end.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people don't want to confront and deal with that. Unfortunately, we're all going to be put in that position eventually, mortality-wise. And I think this movie gives us some really good pointers on how to spend your final times, and that's why I find it to be a life-affirming ending at the end. And I found it a deeply romantic ending overall. So, what do you think, Ben, as far as spoiler alerts?
Basically what you said, and just, if you want to see the movie, just heads up, it's not funny all the way through. It's not a laugh out loud comedy. It is a feel good movie, pretty much.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
But it still comes off as being really
Yeah.
good. So.
Pretty much the first half of the movie is laugh out loud hilarious, and the second half is dramatic and romantic and very sad and all that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it still ends, believe it or not. The world ends, but it ends on an uptick.
Yeah.
So anyway, check it out and see what you think.
Yeah.
But that's our thoughts on Seeking a Friend for the End of the World.
Yep.
And I highly recommend it. In fact, I cannot wait to see what this director does next.
Yeah.
So thank you for joining us, and we will be back on Friday with our review of our next End of the World movie, Knowing.
Yep.
See ya.
See ya.